I'm Chris Hersman. I work at the Johns Hopkins University Applied Physics Lab, and I'm the New Horizons Mission Systems Engineer. New Horizons is NASA's mission to the Pluto system and also onto the Kuiper Belt. So we launched in 2006. We started developing in 2001, and then it was 9.5 years till we reached Pluto, which happened in July 14th, 2015. And after Pluto, it took about a year to get all the data down. So all the pictures you might see of Pluto came from the New Horizons spacecraft. I can't remember a time when I didn't think I would be an engineer, because both my parents were engineers, and they also went to the University of Cincinnati and graduated in chemical engineering. My grandfather was an electrical engineer who graduated from the University of Cincinnati. And my brothers all went to the University of Cincinnati, and two of them were engineers. One was a physicist and one was a business major, all my siblings. The question was which type of engineering, because I liked mechanical things as well as electrical things. And I think it was the time when computers were becoming of age, and they really caught my eye. And so that's why, that's why I ended up in electrical engineering. The co-op program was something that really attracted me to the University of Cincinnati. I knew that would be a great experience, and it also helped pay for college. And it really helped me a lot. When I went to interview for jobs, I had an advantage over most of the students applying because of my experience. I started at the Applied Physics Laboratory in a group that does a lot of work for other departments in the laboratory. And so the advantage is you get a lot of variety of work. A disadvantage is you don't always get the best work, because they're doing the best work and they're giving, when they have too much work, they give the not as interesting work to the people who are helping out. So I started out in that group, and then I really liked space, and they have a space department. It was called the Space Department at the time. Now it's the Space Exploration Sector, but it's a mouthful. So I got an offer to switch groups, and so I started in a service group that would help out, and then moved into the Space Department. And in the Space Department, I started building electronics for testing flight equipment. So it would be the ground equipment that we would use to test the flight equipment. And then I progressed into developing the flight hardware, which like a small board in a data handling system. And then I worked on and these are all separate missions along the way, but then I did a data processing unit, like a whole box, a whole computer that would work for a camera, a flight camera. And then after that, I started getting into the autonomy and fault protection. We call it autonomy. It's like the fault protection that monitors all the things on the spacecraft. And it would have rules that would say, if this happens, run these commands and fix it. And then I had an opportunity to have a little bit of a jump in my career at a different organization. And I went to work for Orbital Sciences Corporation for a few years. And I worked on a lot of proposals. And the thing about proposals is that you work very, very hard in a short period of time, and then you have a very small chance of winning. So it's hard work, but and then if you're not winning, it's not as satisfying. And at the time, Orbital was relocating and consolidating a lot of their separate locations into one location in Virginia, which was a good move for the company. But for me, I had to make a choice about whether to relocate to Virginia or stay in Maryland and commute. And then right about that same time I was making that choice, I got a call from my previous employer, the Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Lab, and they said, had you ever thought about coming back? And I was like, well, maybe, I don't know. It was good timing, you know, and so it worked out that the person who became the project manager for the New Horizons mission was the one who was recruiting me to come back. And I said, since I'd been working on proposals for 3 years, I said, I'll come back as long as I don't have to work on proposals, because I was about done with proposals. And he said, sure, yeah, come on back, you know. And then the first thing I get is the New Horizons proposal. And I was like, well, I've done this before. I know how to do it. I'm coming back. I want to make a good impression. I'll do the best job I can. I honestly didn't expect to win. You know, I'd lost proposal after proposal, but I was like, I'm going to do the best job I can on this. And sure enough, we won. And I was like, wow, you know, that's amazing. So I think about it and I say, you know, sometimes it's good when you don't get what you want, because you end up with what you need. And it might even be better than what you wanted. So yeah, it's been a great mission to work on. There's a lot of sharp people on the project. And, you know, when people want to work on a project, you get the best of the people to work with. And when you work on a project that's you know, 9.5 years till you get the data that you're looking for, you got to enjoy the journey or you'll never make it. You know, and so when we got to Pluto, I didn't expect such celebration. You know, it was something where I thought, you know, this is going to be really good, but it wasn't. It was much more than I expected. But you know, I tell people that the enjoyment happens every day when I come into work, and you can't go 9.5 years without enjoying what you're doing. And so I really enjoy working with the team that we have on the New Horizons mission. I don't know if it's still a tradition in the engineering school, but was the egg drop contest, where you had to deliver an egg from the balcony over here. And I don't even know if the balcony is still there, but there was a balcony from the quad area next to Rhodes Hall that was about, I don't know, 20 feet down, and then there was a little round emblem in the center of the courtyard down below, and you had to deliver an egg, a raw egg, to that location, and the one who had the closest, the most accurate delivery with an egg that wasn't cracked would win. And so my friend and I had a design, and I don't know, they didn't have as many rules back then, but it involved a fishing rod and a pulley system that would lower the egg without, you know, very gently into the spot where it should go, with like a harness, and kind of like a zip line, actually, is a good analogy. And we had tested it, and we were doing really well, and we said, we're going to win this thing. And then at the last minute, I got nervous, and I said, you know, that string is pretty thin. I'm afraid it might break. And my friend said, well, are you sure we should be doing this? You know, and I was like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. And I got a thicker string to make sure that it wouldn't break. And he's like, I don't know, I'm not sure. And then, and sure enough, we get in, the crowds are around, and I hadn't tested the system, you know. And it ended up that I didn't fully understand what was happening in the pulley system, because the string was so thin. It wasn't actually riding on the pulley. It was riding between the edge of the pulley and the wheel that goes around the inside. And sure enough, it jammed halfway down, you know. And then I had to kind of shake it, and the egg flipped out, you know. And I was like, but the lesson was that, and it's been reiterated throughout my career, is that you test as you fly and fly as you test. So if you're testing something and you test it, don't change it if it works, or if it's not broke, don't fix it. That's another one too. But I keep remembering that, you know, that once you test something, it's good, and you don't need to fix it. And then if you see something that's broken, you can fix it, but you have to test it afterwards. And so you can't, because if we had tested it again, I could have gone back to the row. But once we were in the show, it was like, but it was quite a dramatic demise for that egg. There was one other message in that experience of the egg drop, was that you trust your team. You know, I felt like, oh, I knew what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. Don't worry. You know, but I should have been listening, you know, to the message there, because you know. Everybody knows something that you don't, right? Everybody you meet knows something that you don't. I want to say that I'm really thankful for the opportunity to work on this project, and it's the NASA administration and the tax dollars that fund these projects, and it's the population of the United States that's supporting this effort. And so I want to say thank you to everyone for this opportunity, and hope that I can deliver back. You know, I can do a good job for the dollars that are spent on this project, and get the data from these distant worlds that we want to explore.